Art as offensive action in the spirit war. My friend is at this juncture in making an album that I think many of us, if not all of us, arrive at in whatever project we may be nearing the finish line of, any project we've put all of our heart and our soul, our blood, sweat, and tears into. And I'm talking about the way self-doubt and procrastination can sometimes wear the outfit or the disguise of new inspiration. And it can be ultra confusing because it can wear this disguise of new inspiration in actual inspiration. It's not just a trick. It's valid inspiration. However, perfectionism weaseled its way into it and is trying to trick you in a certain kind of way. It goes like this. It can hide itself in the light, and this doesn't discount the new inspiration or mean that you shouldn't follow it. It just means that we have to question it when the new inspiration is urging us to leave the project we have almost finished at the side of the road. This has happened to me with every album I've ever made, and it goes like this. I've slaved away at a project for ages, and it's almost time to abandon it and release it into this cold, dark, critical world. For as they say, no work of art is ever finished. They are simply abandoned at a certain point. And the point of that truism is to circumvent the voices of perfectionism, to get you used to the idea that you just have to abandon something. It's never totally done. You can always keep working. It makes letting go very difficult. Perfectionism I'm talking about, because when we are at the end of a project we've invested eons of blood, sweat, and tears into, often all we see is the flaws or where it falls short. We judge it harshly because now it is threatening to leave the nest and go out into a cruel, unforgiving world and represent us. It's going to go out there and reflect who we are, and that is a terrifying proposition, especially if you have little to no experience in this realm. So what will often happen, and what has always happened to me, is suddenly all kinds of new inspiration will come walking into the club wearing a tight skirt, so to speak, and say, look at me, I'm the one you really want. I'm the one who should really be out there representing you. Meanwhile, you've been toiling with the old ball and chain that is the project that is almost done, the same one you have an intimate relationship with all of the flaws and failures that the voices of resistance are screaming at you about. Well, what about this? What about that? And here's this new inspiration walking in saying in a seductive voice, come dance with me for a while, stranger. You know that old bag ain't good enough for you. And though that new inspiration probably is good, in this case, perfectionism is hiding in it. And its motivations aren't all purity and light. In other words, this is how new inspiration can take you off course. This, of course, is a tricky subject for a multitude of reasons. One being, as I said, just because perfectionism is hiding in this new inspiration doesn't discount this new inspiration's authenticity. So I don't recommend throwing it away altogether. I just recommend sidelining it until you've completed the project at hand, and the one you have to abandon now, but abandon it into the world instead of into the dust fields of your hard drive. The other tricky part is how to discern what is perfectionism run amok aiming to stop you, and what is genuine critique that will make the project you're working on actually better, because that's a strange dance. You know, perfectionism hides itself as a virtue. And in some ways it is good, but it can run amok and take you off course. That's how, it's the trickiest place resistance or oppression or whatever you want to call these dark forces, negative forces that stop us from giving our gifts to the world. It's the trickiest disguise it puts on. This is where things get blurry and where setting up limitations around time becomes helpful. I told my friend his new inspiration was good, and to not abandon it, but to sideline it and give himself 1 week to fully invest in final mixing decisions and small changes towards the album he's been working on. Time restrictions are good in the realms of creativity. They galvanize a project into completion and help us find the balance between putting enough refinement and consideration into what we are working on, but not too much. My friend was conflating the new inspiration with the old project and thinking of abandoning it to follow this new direction. And that's how I saw perfectionism ugly face being disguised here. I told him that will always happen. A new direction will always arrive at the end of the project, convincing you that it could be so much better if you just did it all completely different than what you already did. And I told him, yeah, that's the next album, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't put out the album you made. We have to get serious about what it actually is to be creative in this world of ours. We are seeing the forces of light and darkness at war with each other here in increasingly more over-the-top and exaggerated ways. In other words, the spirit war is revealing itself to us here now. So how does that factor into expression and releasing your expression into this world, into this war? It means that art is actually an offensive action in that very war. To think of it this way is helpful because in our world, now to be an open and creative soul means those very dark forces that are working against anything and everything that contains light will be amping up their soldiers of resistance. So we need the increasingly thick skin we get when we frame things this way. Put your voice out there and don't worry what people say or don't say. Consider yourself a warrior in this fight and put on the armor of God when you finally release your light. Keep swinging, my friends. Like and subscribe. Leave comments below. Tell us how you have been tricked by this particular, gag of perfectionism and how you've overcome it. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.